Hello class, we are making this Santa head advent calendar today. I'm going to start with the drawing. If you already did the drawing part, you're welcome to skip ahead in the video and follow along with the chain making because I know that's specifically what some of you asked about. But for this activity you will need 2 pieces of paper, something to write with. I prefer pencil normally, but I'll use pen so you can see it a little bit better. Something to color with, crayons, markers, colored pencils, all fine. Some scissors, and then either some tape or a glue stick. Or a stapler would work fine as well. So let's start with the drawing. So we're going to start by drawing Santa's head. I'm going to draw about a little over a half circle, fairly round. I'm going to go kind of fast. You're welcome to pause it as needed. Next step, we're going to draw in the curves of his hat. We're going to do the bottom curve of his hat. Kind of a soft, gentle curve. Then we'll do the side curves. I'm going to draw a little clump of holly. So it's 3 berries. Then I'm going to draw in some little leaves coming off. They kind of make U-shaped points outwards. And I'm going to do 3 of these. And you can put little lines in the middle to add a little bit of detail to your leaves. Then I'm going to connect my hat across, draw a little line to the berries. And you can kind of follow the shape of your curve below. Next I'm going to draw in the hat. I start with a dot kind of in the middle. Then you can make a curve going upwards. Looks like I didn't quite meet my dot, but that's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then a curve coming back down, and I'm going to leave it open and draw a big Christmas bubble. Alrighty, next we're going to draw in the nose. Kind of in the middle, it's an oval shape. On either side of the nose, we'll do his mustache. Then from the bottom of the nose, make a dot, connect the mustache. Draw in my little mouth. And then connect the big fluffy beard down to the ends of his mustache. And finally I'm going to put in some big eyes and some eyebrows. So for each eye I put in some circles. Draw some little eye shines. Draw my eyebrows. Color in my little eye shines. Like so. Okay, so my picture is basically done. I don't have a ton of crayons and things to color in, so I'll just do some basic coloring so you get the idea, and then we'll get started with how to cut it out and make the loops. I'll just do a little bit of coloring just to get the idea. So we don't want to fully cut this out yet. We're going to make some loops on the bottom before we cut it out. That'll help us with hanging the beard portion. Let's get a little bit of green going here for the holly. A little bit of green for the eyes. And then I don't have a big box of fancy crayons, so I think yellow or orange is the closest I have. I'll just go with yellow, just to add a little bit of color to them. And I'm going to leave the beard white along with the brim of the hat and the pom-pom. Okay, so I'm almost ready to cut out my Santa, but first I want to make 6 long rectangles below his beard. So I'm going to start in the middle. 1, 2, 3, it's okay if they're not perfect rectangles, just cut them in a minute. 4, 5, and 6. The longer they are, the easier they are to loop. So now that I have my 6 rectangles down here, I am ready to cut them out. You want to make sure you keep the rectangles attached to the picture when you cut it out. I don't have any processing to speed this up, so you're welcome to skip and go to the end of my cutting. Or you're welcome just to leave it playing and you can cut along with me as I cut around the bauble. And the hat. I'm just going to rough cut around the plant for this one, the holly. Okay, so then my suggestion for the rectangles to make them a little bit easier to cut is to cut down to the ends of each in a little arc. And then come in and cut along the straight pieces. So that should be a little bit of a faster trick. And you can just come in, snip right across, snip right across. You can come back and clean it up later if you need to. Might have been better if I used pencil for this. I would recommend you using pencil because these black lines will show up on my loops. But I wanted to do it a bit darker so you all could see my lines. Because I know pencil doesn't show up quite as well. And last one, so I'll have 6. So the next step I would recommend is to flip it over so that you can make the loops. And I'm using tape. You're welcome to use a glue stick. It might take a little bit longer for each piece to dry. So when you have it flipped over, you're basically just going to pull back and make a loop out of each of the rectangles that you left. So pull it back and make a loop. I think I like that better than the round loop. And this will give you a space to hang your beard loops from. Just makes it nice and easy for having place to make your chain. And the idea is that every day you'll have 24 chains, so that every day of December you can cut one off, trim up Santa's beard, and count down to Christmas. So there are my loops. Next step is to cut the little loops that I am going to cut off. And because today is the first day of December, I'm going to need one loop per day. So I'm going to need 24 days to count down. So I'm going to cut, I like kind of the little loops that I did in my example from class. So I'm just going to cut really thin strips of paper. I cut each of these in half, so 12 times 2 makes 24, so I'm going to cut 12 little strips and then cut them in half. That's 2, 3, they don't have to be perfect strips, they don't have to be all the same size, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So when I cut these in half, I will have 24 pieces. So that's what I'll do right now, and I'll have the exact right number to make all of my loops. If you're doing this other than on December 1st, you don't need to make as many loops because there's not as many days till Christmas. So you can adjust based on how many days are left and make that many loops. So there are my 24 little strips. You'll need your glue or your tape now because each one of these you loop through, make a ring like so, and tape it or glue it closed. So that's one ring, and I keep doing that on all of these. And I kind of like the idea of making a pyramid sort of shape that gets smaller as it goes down, and so I'll show you how I do that. But if you want to just hang one loop off of each of these and then one loop off of each of those and make kind of a square shaped beard, you are welcome to do it that way. It is totally up to you how you want your Santa's beard to look. They can all look different, and really you're going to cut them all off eventually anyway. So if they're a little bit funky or a different shape, that's okay. It's more for the fun and the joy of making some art, the excitement of counting towards Christmas, all sorts of great things. So that's my first 4 loops. You can see this is a pretty time-consuming process, so if you want to take a break and come back after a little bit, that's totally fine to come back to your art project. Because maybe you're having trouble getting your loops to stay. It's a little bit fiddly of a task. So you're welcome to take a little break, especially if you're getting frustrated at all. So that's my first 6. And so my next step, if I want to make a kind of triangle shaped beard, is I'm going to feed through 2 of these rings that I just made. So my paper, I'm going to put through 2 of them so that they're kind of connected. And I make kind of a pyramid shape is what I'm going to start. So I just connected 2 of them, and then I'm going to connect 2 more and 2 more and so on. And once again, if you are totally getting the pattern, you don't have to watch the rest of this video, or if you get this part of the pattern, you can always skip ahead. I know I'm not doing any sort of speeding up of the video, so it's going to be a little bit long. But I had some of you requesting a video to show you how to put this together. So that's exactly what I'm doing. get there. There is an end. This won't be an infinite beard. At our 24th loop, we will stop. There we go. I'm almost done with the second row. And so for my third row, I just hung one beard loop off of each of the second row because it was getting a little bit crowded. So instead of trying to connect two like I did on the second row, I'm just doing one loop off of each of the second row. So what that means is I go to my second row here. I'm going to take one piece of paper and it's just going to go through that single loop. And if you're gluing, you might want to just glue a couple and then let them dry because you might run into them falling apart a little bit. So glue some, leave it to dry for a little while and come back to it is totally fine. It is your piece of art. Once again, just hanging off the single loops in the second row. And then on the next round, we'll connect some of those. And one more in this row. And we'll do a quick check and see how many do we have left. That's why I do like cutting them beforehand and making sure I have the right number to begin with, because trying to count them now would be really tricky. Oh, we only have 8 left. So I'm gonna skip the outermost one in the third row just because it's a little bit far for me to reach, but I'm going to go connect the second and third loop on the third row. And if this doesn't make sense to you, you're welcome to make your beard different than mine. It's totally allowed to be different. There's no one way to do it. And maybe it'll even come out better. Who knows? Let's see if this will reach far enough. Connect the second and third here. We're going to end up cutting these off anyway, so they absolutely don't have to be perfect. Let's hang another single piece off of each of those. I might have too many loops, so I might go back and put some single pieces and kind of fill up the sides. Oops, I was running off the screen a little bit. So if you find that you have one too many loops somewhere, that's totally fine. You can go back and fill in the beard wherever it looks a little bit sparse. There's not a lot of loops in that area. It looks like it could use another one. And that's what I'm going to go do. Go back and fill in a couple more loops, make it a nice bushy beard. And when we're finally done, I would recommend hanging this. I think the loops look really nice when they're hung up on a wall, so I would recommend either taping it to a wall or hanging it on a little hook that you might have, because they look nice when they're hanging down versus sitting flat. But if all you have is sitting flat on a table, once again, totally fine. Your craft, your countdown to Christmas. You can do it your way. And I'm on my last loop. Hopefully you're here with me. You're just finishing up. And here we go. My Santa beard is finished and I am ready to count down to Christmas.